worthless, failure, fat, stupid, ugly, disgusting, hopeless. These are many of the words that go through the head of a person that suffers from mental illness. Have any of these words ever crossed your mind before? If not, they probably have crossed the mind of someone close to you, a family member or a friend. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the definition of a disease is a condition of a living animal or plant body, or one of its parts that impairs normal functioning and is typically manifested by distinguishing signs and symptoms. A harmful development, as in a social institution. While according to the CDC.gov, mental illnesses are conditions that affect a person's thinking, feelings, mood, or behavior, such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia. Such conditions may be occasional or chronic and affect someone's ability to relate to others and function each day. Based on the definitions I stated for both a disease and the definition of mental illness, there's no reason why people should not consider mental illness an actual disease. People who suffer from mental illness suffer every day, just like others who are suffering from a disease. Depression, anxiety, these can all be debilitating to one's life and even fatal. Some of the sources I used for my research include the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, the National Institute of Mental Health, and the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Today I will persuade you to stop the stigma of mental health. There are many problems associated with mental health stigma. The first problem with the mental health stigma is that it can potentially lead one to commit suicide. Mental illnesses have become increasing across the U.S., affecting over 46 million people. According to Leah Dagsor's article on usatoday.com, suicide is the nation's 10th leading cause of death, with 14.2 deaths for every 100,000 people. Though that rate alone belies the scope of the problem, while thousands of people die by suicide each year, millions are thinking about it. I feel lack of resources available are a huge contributing factor. Mental illness is a disease like all other diseases, and it should be treated as such. People should not be denied treatment or health care. Due to the stigma of mental illness, many people avoid seeking help. Society, as well as cultural beliefs, can make one feel ashamed and lower their self-esteem, thinking that they're damaged, not normal, and that something is wrong with them. But in actuality, it's not them. It's the stigma they face in society. Believe me, I have first-hand experience within my Italian heritage. My grandmother migrated from Italy while my grandfather was born here. Both were 100% Italian, proud of their heritage and their Catholic religion. Depression was just something that was not talked about. It was taboo. Just shake it out, it's in your head. You don't need to go to a doctor, go and see the priest. I suffered many years in silence for fear of telling my family, feeling ashamed. I was bad and a failure, not only to them, but to myself. This only made things worse for me, and my thoughts of suicide increased daily. I finally acted and saw a counselor at school without my parents' knowledge. She convinced me that I should not feel ashamed. Many people suffer from mental illness, and that I needed to tell my parents. Shortly after I told my mom, she finally accepted it, but again, I was not allowed to tell anyone else in the family. We had to keep it quiet. A few years later, I went through a really rough time and needed more intensive therapy. It was at that time that my whole family finally became aware and accepted it as a disease as it is. I'm lucky that I had the courage to finally seek help. If not, I would not be here today. The second problem with the mental health stigma is that it can lead many people to abuse drugs and alcohol as a way of coping. They avoid seeking medical help because of the stigma and decide instead to self-medicate. There's a huge link between mental illness and substance abuse. According to Kathleen Smith's article on psychcom.net, research reports that people who have been diagnosed with a mental illness at some point in their life consume 69% of the nation's alcohol and 84% of the nation's cocaine. When a person struggles with substance abuse and mental illness, this is known as a dual co-occurring disorder. This can become a deadly combination. Many people use alcohol or drugs to cope with having depression or anxiety instead of seeking help. Drinking alcohol or doing drugs can lighten their mood, can create a relaxed state, and help them escape from reality. However, this can also create an opposite effect. Many drugs, including alcohol, heroin, and cocaine, have a negative effect. Alcohol and heroin are both classified as depressants. Abusing both can increase someone's depression, making it even worse. Cocaine, on the other hand, is a powerful stimulant, which creates a sense of euphoria, which lasts only a short time, anywhere between 5 and 30 minutes. This then is followed by the opposite, by fatigue, depression, and irritability. This is why it is easily addicting for someone who suffers from depression and anxiety. The more they use cocaine as a form of self-medicating, the more they get addicted. Therefore, we need to end the stigmatism so people can get the help that they need without feeling ashamed, stop committing suicide, and stop self-medicating. I just spoke about the problems associated with the mental health stigma. Now I'll go over the solutions. You can actively participate in helping to end the mental health stigma. You can help others by volunteering, supporting mental health organizations, and being a support system for someone you know. According to Emmy Pombo's blog on www.niami.org, while treatment like medication and psychotherapy are incredibly helpful, sometimes people experiencing mental health conditions need to do more day in and day out just to feel good or even just okay. This is where self-help techniques can be very important. There are many self-care options, including yoga, aromatherapy, journaling, and reading, to name a few. You need to find out what works for you and what you enjoy doing. One other relatively new option you can try is sunlight therapy. Many are already using this treatment to help with seasonal affective disorder, which is a type of depression that occurs seasonally, mainly in the winter months when sun exposure is limited. Research is showing that there are other mental illnesses that light therapy can be beneficial for, including people with other forms of depression, PMDD, and anxiety. According to Rachel Nell's article on Healthline.com, sunlight and darkness trigger the release of hormones in your brain. Exposure to sunlight is thought to increase the brain's release of a hormone called serotonin. Serotonin is associated with boosting mood and helping a person feel calm and focused. Sunlight therapy is it's a light that acts just like sunlight without emitting harmful UV rays. Sun lamps are easy to use at your home or office. When using it, you want to make sure that you position your lamp about 2 feet away from your face and, if possible, 30 degrees above your head. Just make sure, too, that you do not stare directly into the lamp. It's best to use your sun lamp first thing in the morning or whenever your day starts for about 20 to 30 minutes. You can also use your sun lamp again in the afternoon to help with your afternoon slump. It's best starting slowly to see how you react. Follow the instructions provided by your sun lamp manufacturer, and always consult your doctor with any concerns. Sun lamps are readily available across all price ranges, and there are many different styles to choose from. I just discussed the solutions and some self-care ideas. Now I will discuss the practicality. By implementing my solutions, it will raise awareness in society that mental illness is truly a disease, and more of society will be accepting of that. With acceptance, there will be more resources available to all that are in need, better insurance benefits and coverage. People will not feel ashamed and seek the medical help required, thus leading to a decrease in deaths caused by suicide, as well as thoughts of suicide. Also, with more people getting help and practicing self-help techniques, less will turn to drugs and alcohol for coping, again, saving valuable lives. If we don't implement my solutions, then mental illness will still not be recognized by the masses as the disease that it is. Therefore, we won't see an increase in resources available. People will still feel ashamed by the stigma and avoid seeking help that they truly need. This will lead to an increase of suicide deaths as well as drug and alcohol abuse. We will continue to lose many lives too early if we don't put a stop to the mental health stigma. Today, I persuaded you to help end the mental health stigma. I discussed the problems, solutions, and shared my personal experience. Imagine if you or a loved one suffered every day, not wanting to get out of bed or leave the house. They just literally stayed in bed all day, feeling worthless, unloved, and ashamed. Feeling like they were the only ones that feels like this, and that nobody would care if they committed suicide and left this world. Then their suffering would finally end. To them, nobody would care. The world would not miss them. But you would. Let's end the stigma because they matter. You matter. We matter. I urge you to please help make a difference by volunteering and donating to organizations that help make a difference. You can visit National Alliance on Mental Illness at www.nami.org to learn about different ways you can help. If you're currently suffering or struggling with mental illness, please do not suffer in silence. You can also visit the National Alliance on Mental Illness as well. And again, that address is www.nami.org for resources. Or if you are in immediate danger of harming yourself, please call the National Suicide Prevention Line at 800-273-8255. Remember, you are not alone. You matter. You're valuable. The world needs you. And I need you.